All right, everybody, we'll get started here in just a second here. Welcome to the show again. As I always like to say, it's going to be a good day.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome, Pedro. Pedro in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, doing his thing.
What up, what up, what up? Well, how's everybody's doing today? I hope everybody's doing well.
Pedro, I've got to get a tweet or two out. As usual, why don't you get the show going here?
Most definitely. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate every one of you that are already here, ready, and just saying, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. So real quick, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share button. Post it onto your respective social media platform that you use at its mostest as its hostess. If you will also, please go in the comment section. Tell me where you would like to be or where you are at, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And one last little thing, if you don't mind, those little heart buttons right over there that have the little heart and they have the little face smiley thing with the 100%. If you could hit those quite a bit, that does help the algorithm push us out there to let people know who we are, what we're doing, and it will push us up on live feeds to people who are looking to see and learn about crypto. So that's in a nutshell.
That's it. That's in a
baby.
nutshell. Let's get started by welcoming everybody to the show. Let's see the first people that came on today. Chuck Jansen shows up. What up, people? Chuck says he's clicking the hearts here today on the show, but he had to go get a new mouse that's quiet. Chuck, I have that same problem. I've got this mouse here, and when I'm behind the scenes getting stuff while Pedro's talking, it's clickety click, and I need a quiet mouse. Also, who else have we got in the house? Happy Thursday, family. Pit Monk in the house, coming to us from north of London in the green area of Hertfordshire, or wherever the hell wherever the hell that is pronounced. I think I got it close. I think Nebworth is up there, right? Pit Nebworth, one of my favorite concerts of all time. Live at Nebworth with Pink Floyd reunion.
Live at Nebworth. Also, Mike from Canada.
Yes, Mike is here in the house. Space Cat is in the house. Where are my sound effects, ladies and gentlemen?
We're gonna get there one day. I'm a firm believer in that. One day we're gonna have sound effects again. We had it before. It will happen again.
Yeah. It says my audio playback device is in use. Oh well. Wah, wah, wah. Let's see. Where's Crypto Mike? Crypto Mike in the house. Crypto Mike in the house. Yada yada yada. Coming to us, Manitoba. Sup, y'all. Chuck Jansen says I would like Cardano to be at 5.27, considering it's at what, 70 cents right now. That would be a nice 35x for you there. So
yeah,
that would be good. Or not 35x, 3.5, whatever. It's a lot of x's. A lot of x's. Oh, look at that! We're getting the likes on the LinkedIn feed. Gotta love that. Well, welcome everybody, Pedro, let's get the show started with the recap of past 24 hours of BTC. What is going on in the market today?
Yeah, look, we're having a little bit of a sell-off right now. We're kind of going sideways here. So honestly, I look at this like a little bit of a good thing, just simply because the sell-off did allow people to buy in at a low rate at the 40,000 versus 45,000. But also, I bring this up, and this is actually really interesting to see. We're pushing up, and we're pushing up with a little bit of volume, and we've seen this before now, right? Whereas crypto just kind of creeps up with a small amount of volume, and then it pushes through. So you know what? We could see this big push here up to the 59,000.
Pedro's picture is missing. Where is Pedro's picture? There he is. Sorry, Pedro. Good.
It's all good. It's all good. But in the same sense, we also could see crypto fall off from the 45,000 area of our supply zone and see them again come back to around that 30,000, 35,000 area. So be ready if we do that. If you can put limit orders down at that level of 30,000, 39,000-ish area, put it in, man, and we can totally see that thing. If we do see it sell off to that period, you immediately buy. I remember I was talking to one of our community members. We were talking about Matic, and I said, I see Matic going down to 35,000, and or excuse me, not 35,000.
That would be great.
Yeah,
It means it went up a lot.
31, like 31, 35 cent area. And so he literally went there, and this was back when it was still at like $2. I think it was like $1.50, $2, then around this area here. And he said, all right, boom. So he said, bet. So he put that thing in, and then he hit me up and he said, dude, I bought in at that rate. And I was like, awesome, bro. That is so good. I love to hear that. So like I said, if you can put a limit in that so you can buy it at those lower rates, it's great.
Oh, where's the making money thing? Where's the making money part of that, Pedro? Where are we going to make the money in the short term here? In other words, where's it go? What is the chart telling you what it's doing on the smallest unit of not the 1 second chart, but while the guys are watching the show, guys and gals, whoever you are, or mixed, whatever. What are we doing today? Is just today you think another consolidation day waiting for an ETF announcement, or is there going to be some moves today?
Pretty much, yeah. I think that's what we're seeing right now. We're just seeing a consolidation here, moving sideways. You can see here at the smaller time frames, right at these levels. And I'll make this a yellow so people can sit there and see it. This area here is one of those places that, for me, when I look at it as a sideways pattern, right? And so right now, you're not seeing a ton of directional play, especially with what's happening and we've already seen that if I don't think that the ETF price has been priced into the market. I don't, simply because when I look at what's actually happening, why is that doing that? Stop it, bro. I just want this thing to work, and it doesn't want to double up for me. Is that what you're not going to do? Okay, there you are. This is the sideways action right here from these tops to these lows here, and you can see that we did pop up a little here into the supply area, but now we came right back into this consolidation period where we're just kind of waiting and seeing. I would say from a trading standpoint, I'm looking at this honestly as, from my own perspective, I think we're going to see a sell-off. Primarily, reason why is we didn't have any demand wick here. Right, we didn't have a demand wick that big here, and then this one was still kind of playing off of the news from yesterday. This is an 8-hour chart. So for me, I think we're coming down. I think we're first going to come down first to go up. Is how I'm looking at the market. And most importantly, if we do that, you can see here there's not a lot of demand wicks here on the 8-hour and as well as the 4 and 2 until we really get down to about these levels right here. And then even at these levels, there's not much here until we get down to here. Again, that's that 26,000 mark I had been talking about. So if we do see a sell-off, there's not. Now, here's the thing. Michael Saylor might just jump back in as if we start to see a sell-off and say, nah, dude, boom, we're going to hold it. Hold. You're going to hold the line. Hold. I'm referring to Braveheart there. But so he could do that, right? But the man doesn't have all the money in the world, all right? So he can only hold it for so much, right? It's not like he's like BlackRock or he's like Goldman Sachs, where they pretty much have their own printers in their own house, right?
Yeah, you know what I found out something. I read something about Saylor yesterday that kind of made me question a few things. He's been pumping his company. Let me rephrase, pushing his company to buy more Bitcoin. Right? We all know this. MicroStrategy holds one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. And recently, yesterday, it was noted that he sold 315,000 shares of MicroStrategy in order
at $600 a pop.
Yeah, in order to buy more Bitcoin, of which, hold on, let me be clear on that. MicroStrategy's been buying Bitcoin with its own money, and he sold some of his ownership shares to buy Bitcoin personally. And now he personally owns like 18,000 Bitcoin or something like that. And so all of that Bitcoin, the $5 billion worth, however much it's worth that MicroStrategy owns, he technically doesn't own.
Right.
The company owns it. And if he is selling his shares, then ultimately, MicroStrategy could own the shares, and he could be a minor. I don't know what his ownership is. I mean, maybe he owns 99% of the company. I don't know. But maybe somebody can do the Edgar research on that and figure it out. But if he sells a majority of his company, or if he ends up only with 20% ownership, he technically doesn't have control of that Bitcoin anymore, unless he has a voting rights guarantee like Zuckerberg does. I don't know. So I find that it's possible that MicroStrategy could be a company in itself without a figurehead leader running it that is one of the top holders of Bitcoin. I found that to be interesting, which would make it an easy takeover target for somebody that wanted to buy a big over-the-counter transaction. They could just come in and buy MicroStrategy for a couple of $1 billion, and thus they own that crypto. I was thinking conspiracy theories of he owns 1.9 million shares. All right, he only sold. What's the outstanding shares though? What's the share of that company? 67%. All right, so he's still got a lot of room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm guessing he has some stock options too.
Well, I could totally see the splitting as well. I mean, because the reality is if this thing, let's say it goes through, right, and like if I were him, I would split his shares now. In all honesty, he's at $600 a share right now, and so the reality is, if he splits it, let's say a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1, that's still $200 a share. If Bitcoin skyrockets again, and let's say it does 300,000, right, and then comes down to 80,000, 90,000, it's coming down again. If he doesn't split it, that 600 goes to 12, and it goes to 1,800, and we're talking it could potentially be a stock of like a $3,000 stock, right? Which would still make it hard. And if he splits it, right? So if I were him, I would split it now, right before Bitcoin explodes, and then go through, allow people to buy it, so you can not that it'll dilute himself, which it will, but it'll just make it harder also for other entities to actually take it when Bitcoin explodes. So it's just, I think it'd be smarter for him to do that. But I mean, he can do whatever. But and the other part is he has Class B shares.
You're right. I see that. And so there's an ownership thing in there. All right, Pedro, let's get the morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're coming to us from. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. I've got Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, over here on my wall next to me here, giving the analysis of the day. As you may have seen from today's announcements on our channel, that's the story kind of today is ETF rhetoric is heating up, ladies and gentlemen. It's going crazy. Everyone thinks that it's going to be tomorrow or the next day or maybe the 10th or something like that, but it's going to be soon. But there's a whole bunch of other people, including the Bitcoin originals and Maxi. I almost said the wrong word there. Maxis that think this is a bad thing and it should never be. It should never be approved. But regardless of what anyone thinks, with all these companies behind it and applying for it, eventually they're going to get approved, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's a year from now. It's going to happen. And so I thought I got the picture of Gary Gensler as the Grim Reaper up there. Gary, if you're watching, I know you're not, but in case you're watching, that is not to mean an insult upon you. What that is to show that the industry views you as basically the Darth Vader of the group, of the industry here. Because nothing ever good happens when you get into this. And I realize the SEC does police the markets a lot and does have some good things to keep scams out and all that, keep people from getting wrecked out there. But in this instance, it's just nothing but doom. Just nothing but doom, and bad news is attached whenever the SEC comes calling right now. But one of the things I want to talk about is people talk about the technical nuances of ETFs and whether or not people are they've got the right info, and the Coinbase this and JP Morgan that and Goldman Sachs this. What are Gary Gensler's motivations? Why is he so motivated to be the stopper to all this? And obviously we can talk politics, we can talk things like needs to get back at people for past wrongs or something like that. We don't know, but we'll talk about that later in the show about what is going on with Gary Gensler. Why is he the the doom and gloom guy of the industry. Anyway, if you've got a comment about that, please let us know. Pedro and I will be answering questions from the audience all day today, talking about the projects that you would like to bring up. Pit Monk, you brought up your project that you're interested in. Pedro and I need to get to that and read the white paper, and then, like I said, we will talk to you about activating that community here on the show. And of course, Space Cat, you mentioned the Max Chain group that you wanted to get that community active in. Also, we will work on that as well. For some reason, it just didn't get on our radar. But anyway, one of the things that we have been talking about and what I've been trying to get a little audience participation with, if I can get the right thing here, the close up. There we go. Is our crypto portfolio right now? As you can see here, guys and gals and whomever, two spirits, whatever. We're up $248 already. Woohoo! We're rich, right? We're just one liquidation dump away from that being underwater. Anyway, we need to add. We need to buy something today. And so before the show is over today, Pedro and I are going to take another $5,000 of your money and buy something. Doesn't need to be a big name stock or crypto. Can be a smaller one, just not a meme coin today. This is a regular portfolio. We'll have a meme coin portfolio or something for fun anyway. But let's come up with something else. Crypto Mike says we need BNB in the mix. All right, well maybe we'll add that. We don't necessarily need to add one thing for $5,000. We just need to spend $5,000 today and buy something. And Pedro's sitting there in the background going, "It's not the right time. Wait, we got to look at the charts and all that." But this, like I said, this is a marketing effort. Then I will take full blame for all. I'll let you take the credit anytime it goes up, and then anytime it goes down, I'll take the blame, so that amongst your trading folks, you can say, "I told him. I told him." All right, so hold on. Let's just do this right here. We're gonna buy 31 bit BNB. Oh wait, not 31. 15 BNB. 15, 18. No. God, what's BNB at $319? 17. Well, that's not working. Why is this not working out right? 16. 15. 15.5. But that's as close as we're getting. 15.53. 15.6. 15.7. All right, we'll do that. 15.7. We bought $5,012 worth of BNB, which means we need to sell $5,012. We'll sell 5,012 Tether. Yeah, I'm just using their simple portfolio thing. All right, so our portfolio now includes the worst performer is now BNB. It's a Crypto Mike says it's a Hail Mary. All right, from Winnipeg we bought a little BNB in there, $1,000 worth. No, wait, I bought $5,000 worth, didn't I? Yes, I bought $5,000. All right, well, I bought too much. I got stuck in my head that we're gonna buy $5,000 worth of something. If we come up with something else, I'll sell some of this and buy it. So by the end of the day, we've only invested $5,000 today. Ka-ching, ka-ching. My sound effects are not working. Welcome, ka-ching. Derek from wherever you are, ka-ching. Derek, we've started our DYOR Live portfolio here, in which we invest $25,000 of your money, not my money and not Pedro's money, into various things. And the goal is to keep not a lot of stuff in this portfolio, but the key is just to keep a couple of things in and see how we do. And it's not super serious. It's not like, oh, we got to analyze everything and do what Pedro does on a day-to-day basis and put limit orders in and stops and those. What we want to do is get our audience participation and to buy stuff and sell it too. If someone pipes up and says, hey, you know what, I'm reading this terrible article about BNB and looks like the next CEO is going to get arrested or something like that, let's sell that stuff. Let's get rid of it. And then as this matures and as we get viewerships to see what they want, and then we can move into more of a precise trading type stuff and come up with that and make Pedro happy that way. Well, I was thinking about that. I was thinking we could short using this. We could say we wanted to short BTC for $5,000 worth without leverage and all that kind of stuff, just straight shorting it. We can go ahead and we can pretend we're using calls and options, and just to say, okay, we're going to short $5,000 of BTC here, and just sell it and add the $5,000 to our portfolio, so we have the cash from the sale, but we'll make a note saying we have a liability of that many coins that we have to buy back. Yeah, right, exactly. Exactly. So we can do that. We can, if we want to say something, all right, it's time to short this thing. I'll be able to figure that out. And basically, we'll do it just like the options market. If you sell something uncovered, we'll just take the cash in. And it adds the cash to your portfolio, which is what exactly happens. But you're on the hook to pay it back. and hopefully when you have pay it back, you have enough to pay it back. Right. No, but where I worked, there was no tab. Where I worked for the big trading houses for a while. I worked for E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. And Prudential Securities, then which got bought by, but then the commodities division got bought by a little group called American Express, Shearson Lehman. Which then split up into American Express and Lehman Brothers took the trading operations. American Express took the card operations, and there was no on the trading floor. There was no account other than an error account, and if your name was in that error account, then your ass was grass. Those guys on the phones, and we're like, wait, he said buy? I thought he said sell. Oh, oops. And the market never goes with you when you make a mistake. Never, ever, ever goes with you when you make a mistake. It only goes against you. Right.
So we'll use this peak right here. Let's go to the left here, and you'll sit there and see there is. Let me go to, because they buy on like a monthly basis. That's why you see me look at monthly, and as well as like weekly basis, because that's how they look at things. So in this area right here, this is the peak here. You can see that there's a bunch of peaks here, right? So these peaks will actually indicate to me that this will most likely, when it enters back into this area, it's going to short, because a lot of shorts were put here prior. So I know that there are orders most likely sitting in these positions waiting for it to go down on a higher time frame, because banks use larger time frames as well as larger what's the wrong one to use? Larger areas for them to get in. So me as a small trader, I just want to make sure that my area is in the area. If I'm shorting at this level, I want to make sure that my area is in, my stop is in that area where their stops are at, or where they're
Right.
looking to short, so that it'll go down in that level, on that level.
Yeah, I was playing with the audio, trying to get the audio levels right, and Pedro, I turned you off accidentally for 1 second when you mentioned a key phrase there, in which you said there are like 120 things that have to go right before you get into a trade, and I want to stress that that is a very important thing. Of while I'm having fun here trying to build audience engagement, building a portfolio. That is meant, as I'm telling you guys now, it's meant for a marketing effort to try to get more engagement for our show, to spread the word about it, and to have a little fun and to watch the markets and to spur conversation. When you actually trade for things to make money and to seriously do it for a living, Pedro, who does this for a living, mentioned a very good point. And I'm pointing like this because Pedro's above me in this scene. That he had 120 things. Maybe not every trade, but some trades it's 10, some trades it's a lot more. No, 120 things.
120 in every single trade.
And so they have to go just right. So he is confident that he's getting into a good trade in which he has a chance of making some money and not just guessing. Because guessing is just like throwing the dice at the craps table. And you're going to get 7 out. And the casinos build those giant buildings with your winnings because they know you're going to roll 7s. And so that's what Pedro's trying to do. So anyway, Kaching says, you ever heard of Celestia TIA? TIA. Ever heard of that, Pedro?
No. Do we need to look at it? Let's look at that there for a second. CELESTIA.
Well, if it doesn't come right up on TradingView, King, put a link to it for us to find it.
Boom. Okay. Well, I got it right. Celestia right here. Boom. Oh, it just started. So about 3 months ago. Is that correct? Celestia?
King?
Or excuse me. King? Hold on just a second. Where we at? $2, $16. Oh, nice little pump. You should have got it. Okay, that's it right there. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you got the right one apparently.
Okay. It is definitely higher highs, higher lows. Good volume. What is the amount that it, okay, so we're trading the millions then. Okay. And if it's $15, then yeah, it's it's nice. And where did it start off at? 220. Are you in this King Kaching?
Well, it's got a little 7x there right now, 8x.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right off the start, is that the start of this project, or is that just when Coinbase started covering it? I guess that's a good question. It's part of the Cosmos ecosystem I'd mentioned. All right, I do remember you talking about Cosmos. That's right. Well, Kaching, you have a little, but now you have a little more.
Yeah, you do. It's looking strong, man. I mean, what's the market cap on? Give me a second. What is there? It's TIA. So let me pull this up here real quick. TIA. Because here's the thing. If they start to get going, if they've got a really good, I don't know what their utility is. Come on. Let's go. I got a little too many. Something's not. Yo, oh, what up, Tom? Oh, yeah, it's time. Yeah.
It's the engagement machine there.
Okay, this thing is not wanting to work. I don't understand why it's not wanting to work. Come on. We'll just do this one then for MicroStrategy. Here we are. Boom. It's TIA. What is up with this? Why? Give me 1 second. I don't know why this is. Boom. Let's shut down some of this stuff here. Oh, and by the way, I was talking with the owner of Shadow Government Statistics.
Yep.
That's what I forgot to tell you. And what is up? Here we go. DIA. And they are he's going not this week, but or not next week, but the week after. He'll probably be on the show talking about a lot of the fundamentals. He's calculating for the last year and 2 years since COVID. And I myself have been really looking at that and trying to see what's going on with it. And what I find so interesting is that we're at about 19 to 20% inflation with everything over the last 3 years, which is a pretty substantial push. In addition to that,
It took 20% of your money away.
Yeah. Well, and more importantly, where we're going into with really the real job reports, because we were talking about that with inflation, jobs that are actually out there that can actually pay. And additionally to that, you have the influx of minorities coming from other countries, foreigners. It's something that it's almost setting up for worse than
Sean Shingatak. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Good morning. It is afternoon for us, but good morning for you. Thanks for joining the show. Sorry, Pedro, to interrupt you, but we had a new commenter, so I thought I'd bring it up. Give us a shout out. Give us a thing which you want to talk about. We're talking about ETFs in the markets today.
And then somebody also gave us a coin. So I'm just reading through Celeste. It's the first module blockchain network that enables.
Chuck said, I love Cosmo. I love the Cosmos. Well, I love the Cosmos too in those shows about space and space travel and, the blockchain. Like I just while Pedro's researching this, I just posted, YouTube has been changing things up for a little bit for us. And the DVR feature where you can scroll back and stuff, I always have enabled. But they used to do it so you join the stream guaranteed to be, if you joined us live, you joined the live stream where we are live. Now sometimes they when you join at the beginning. So if you get to this point and you see that our comments were talking about things maybe a little out of touch with the time, look down and see if you're live. And if you in YouTube, if you hover over the screen, the live button will come up. If it's gray, you're not live. Double click it, you'll go to live. Double tap it with your phone, with your finger, whatever. If you're on LinkedIn or Facebook and you're behind, right now it is 9 minutes past 1 Eastern time. Just hit the refresh button and it'll bring you to live, and you can talk. If you're watching this in the replay, ignore everything I just said. Pedro, what'd you find out?
So this looks like it's a layer 2. Forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it's a layer 2 with really, instead of sequentially moving the blocks forward, they do it in blocks, literally. So that basically is a batch of data where they put things together. So it's able to move a lot quicker for transactions. Also, it's like the module block introduces the notion of decoupling consensus from the execution of transaction, thus achieving a greater scalability without loss of security or decentralization. Based, I was wondering, is this based off of the Factum system, but just instead of it being modular in a sense, or what type of modular system is it based off of, right? There you go. The modular approach to blockchain opens up a world of new possibilities, experiment, because so when Bitcoin first came to market, right, it was slow, was kind of caused, not, I'm gonna say it was built securely, right? Then you had a few other blockchains that popped out. One of the ones that really stood out would have been Factum, right? And Factum is still one of the awesome systems that have actually ever been built out there, right? Like the Gates and Melinda Foundation use it. It's a good system in how they established it. So this is where it's the security aspect of, I'm assuming that's why they're using it, because it's more of a governance standpoint of execution for the transaction. And then when you're blocking each block, it literally keeps then you can keep it small. The consensus doesn't have to be exact as long as you have a governance over it. So is what I'm assuming. Modular stack without permission from outside applications. Yeah. Okay, I still don't know. I'm just assuming this real quick so I can get a decent understanding. And then its market cap is 2 billion, which it's sitting about the range, honestly, of what I think Arbitrum is now 5 billion, 4 billion. So so it kind of looks like an Arbitrum, but instead of on Arbitrum its own self, um, and Arbitrum is on the ETH network. Is that right, or am I wrong? Or are they on their own? I forget.
Oh, they have their
Yeah,
own stuff now.
yeah. So it's their own system. So,
Arb.
uh, ARB. So with that, like it could be that these guys will probably be bouncing off and creating their own system, and again, be another blockchain that people would use, at just a high-speed transaction. I wonder who their clients are that they're trying to build, because obviously there's a lot of transactions going on here. So it's just interesting to sit there and see who they are. Look, when it comes down to this, hey, Kaching, if you know the devs or whatever, love for them just to come on and talk about their system. Love to pick their brain and see what they're thinking about. 5 best altcoins to buy in January 24. It's huge. Right there. You have Crypto Tracker that did it. You have BitTimes here that are talking about them. So there's some pretty good. Coin Edition is talking about them. You've got some big names. Even Bitcoin World is talking about them. Okay, wow, there you go. 3 days ago. So that's something to be paying attention to. I think maybe put them as a watch list. So if we see a sell off with them, we can actually purchase them. If they're moving, because I like there's a part of me that wants to buy more ICP, right? But if this is at this market value, like I said, I talked about crypto rotation yesterday, and in the same sense that instead of being, or we'll call it stock rotation or cyclical trading, right? There in the traditional finance, we're talking every 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, potentially a year, right? Or every 9 months, things get traded and it get traded for 3 months. When you consider gold, right? Gold, because of what's going on in India and within their culture, a lot of people buy gold, so it pushes up the value for gold, right? In the same sense, when we look at crypto, and I use the commodities of gold in relationship to how it's traded. And so when you look at crypto and how it's traded based off of a cyclical setting. So let's say that ARB really starts to get way over, and it looks like it just looks like it went parabolic, right? For arbitrage. Well, you'll see a lot of the institutions say, all right, well, let's take out part of this profit. And since Celestia isn't necessarily doing really well, right? They'll jump in there, because if it's a close win, you'll see them trade back and forth between the two, trying to make money off of both ends, right? Kind of like what we see with Coke and Pepsi, right? And then they merged too, right? So it's like now they're the one and the same. But a while back ago, they were the same. So
Coke and
it's just one of
Pepsi?
those. Yeah, are they the same or are they different? I always forget.
No, they're
this.
different. Pepsi's part of the RC, or not RC, C3 brands or something that owns Kentucky Fried Chicken and Taco Bell and other shit like that.
Okay, so forgive me. So, but either way, you see these babies traded back and forth. For me, like if I'm looking at, let's say, gold or commodities, right? If I'm looking at the indexes and I'm trading the indexes, right? Sometimes you'll see money outflow of the Nasdaq, right, into the Nasdaqs and pushed into, let's say, more of the institutional stocks within the S&P 500. So you'll see the S&P 500 go up, but sometimes the Nasdaq drop back down. But you'll see there's almost what do you call it? Arbitra. I'm about to call it arbitrum. Arbitrage happening within the indexes when you look at the cash market, right? As things are moving back and forth. And you see that with institutions. The reason why I'm having this diatribe in relationship to this is we'll see this within crypto, especially as the institutions really start getting involved and really start trading and creating their own trading houses within crypto. You'll see that. You'll see almost an arbitrage between one similar to another one, and then see one favor for, let's say, is because crypto is such a short time, maybe a week or two, maybe 3 weeks at the most. I think sometimes at the most maybe a month, right? And then you see a huge sell-off of that right there. And then you'll see maybe their competitor or maybe even another sector that has maybe a similar system go through and start to get traded now, and that will get pushed up, right? Like the idea of meme coins, and then you'll see altcoins, and then you'll see a favorite altcoin go up, and let's say it has some memeness to it, and you'll see that money transfer, right, let's say back into Shiba or Doge, right, where you see back and forth. So it's one of those things you want to pay attention to as we start to move forward when institutions start to get involved. That was such a lot to say. Forgive me. I feel like that was
no, it's good.
Overanalyzation of it.
That's good. It's all good there, Pedro. All right, dog.
Yeah, so I like that.
Leave me alone.
I think this is actually a good. It looks like a good stuff. So I would almost say it's good to know, good to see it. Yeah, that's it. I will keep this on the tail side of things, and I'll actually buy some. I'll probably buy some. Wish he would have brought them. When was this? Did he bring this up when I was here?
I don't know what show. He didn't bring up this project. He just brought up the Cosmos system, I think. I'm sure he'll remind us.
Oh man, so yeah, I mean, shoot, I would have jumped on this. Would have thrown a couple bucks in there, shoot, just to see it come. I know the devs for the other layer 0 that I am in. I know the devs for the other layer 0 that I am in. He has worked on several Cosmo chain builds. I can ask him.
All right, we'll ask him. Send him our way. See if he wants to talk about the Cosmos ecosystem, like we always say, not pumping anything overtly, but talking about your ecosystem and the different projects going on. All good stuff.
Yeah, I'm always down. Like, I always want to learn. I mean, I'm always trying to, I read white papers, but I'm not a coder. So for me, like, to sit there, it's almost like the guy who understands, kind of like string theory and quantum computers, but he can't necessarily do the math behind it, right? Like, I'm like, so. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning about a lot of this stuff. I mean, crypto's so vast now, and it's always changing. That's the other part that is just like the innovation of crypto.
It really is. It's amazing, and I love it. I love every second of it. I love how fast it innovates. I was previously in a business, a manufacturing business, in which it took a long time to build things, to tool things. And then from the time you're done with your prototype to test it, it was another 6 months. And if you screwed it up, it took at least another 2 months of repairing that and redoing it and running a test. And each time you tested it, it was like $500,000. And the pace of innovation was glacial. And when someone came out with something new, people were like, "Oh my God, it's been years since anything." Now it's like weekly. Not weekly, daily. It's like, on Wednesday, someone announces, this all new protocol makes it to 10,000 transactions a second. 2 days later, we have a new blockchain. It's infinity, transactions a second. It's just amazing when you have very little barriers to entry into a market at what can happen.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Buck.
No, I'd say that's what Pitmonk says, learning keeps your mind young and healthy. Yeah, most of you guys have no idea how old I am, and you'd be kind of shocked. So I try to learn, keeps my mind young and healthy, and keeps my hair from turning gray. Although it's falling out a little bit there, so that gives it away.
I love it. I was shocked when I learned. I mean, I was like literally like flabbergasted. I was like, "Oh my goodness, you're how old?" Just playing. No, but I was just saying this. Look, when it comes down to it, when you look at the traditional markets in finance, it's like it takes literally like years for new things to come along and then get going. In comparison to crypto, man, I mean, even if the banks get in and it does get regulated, I don't think they'll be able to regulate DeFi. I mean, I just don't think, because there's too many people in it, too many people who do stuff. Even with all the, it's like America trying to stop the cartel from bringing drugs into America. It's like as soon as we find what they're doing, there is like 3 other ways that they've created, parachuting or literally with balloons. They're like they're bringing stuff in on low altitude but high enough where you can't see it, right? It's like the stuff that they have going on that's like as soon as we think we understand what they're doing.
And Pedro, don't get me started on the regulating DeFi or not, because tomorrow, just so you guys know, Pedro is off tomorrow. He's got lot of important things he has to do. So it'll just be me talking. So there won't be a lot of chart-heavy stuff. So come with your opinions and politics tomorrow, because we're going to talk about that. And one of them is the topic. Well, Mr. Dog showed up here. One of the topics is going to be in the United States, the IRS's new rule that any crypto transaction that is even sort of related to business activity, either to or from a business, even if you're an individual, over $10,000 or over, you have to report to the IRS as an individual. So I'm just going to give you a light topic. What I'm going to talk about is that the U.S. federal government is turning the civilians, subjects, as citizens, as however you want to say it, into a tool, an arm of surveillance, and that we're required now to report either on ourselves or on others, other citizens. Not just like, a bank sending $10,000 to an exchange and it's a suspicious transaction. We're going to have to report everything over $10,000, and it's not indexed for inflation. So soon it'll be the equivalent of $2,000, any transaction in crypto. And there's some nuances to that, but we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And it's not like, it's coming, and we can override it and rise up against the machine and do it. No, the rule's already passed. It's gonna be implemented, and you got to do it.
That's horrible, dude.
Yeah, and if you don't do it, it's a felony. So imagine getting $10,000 for someone, from someone, like say, just say someone sell a car. It's a business transaction. You're two individuals, not companies. It's a business transaction. And you don't report the $10,000, and the person pays you in crypto. It's stable coins. All right, here's some USDT. Okay, fine. That's going to become very common in the future. And you don't report it to the IRS. It's a felony. They could come back and put the screws on you and say, all right, you're never going to be able to vote again, own a firearm, do anything like that, because you now have a felony. Just because you didn't report on someone else or on yourself to the federal government. That is a big change in how our government works. And nobody is going to end up liking it.
Well, I mean, even in you would do the traditional, with cash. I mean, because the only way to really do that now is with cash, and you pay someone $10,000 in cash, and then they take it and they do.
But they're not obligated to report it. They're not. You are not obligated to report anything to FinCEN. If someone pays you $10,000 in cash as an individual, if you're a business and it's a suspicious transaction, there's certain rules for that. And certain businesses, not all of them. But now it's everyone. Everyone in the United States, either a citizen or a permanent resident. So that means if you hold a U.S. passport as a second ID, second citizenship, and you live in Canada, or you're one of these guys that lives in Lebanon or Gaza, and you have a U.S. passport, there's 29 hostages over there, whatever. And you just pay people in Gaza with crypto. You're like, I'm going to buy a car. Here's some. If you don't report that to the United States IRS, you're guilty of a felony. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Sell a car. That's exactly what I was just thinking.
Yeah, all cars sell. But wait, there's more. The FinCEN, the financial tracking group, not the IRS, FinCEN, says is proposing rules that say if you make a transaction in crypto, you can't break it into smaller ones. You have to, or send it to intermediaries. You have to send the whole thing at once to the final transaction, even in DeFi, without going through intermediaries. So people can't send 9,999 transactions. So
all right. So how about this?
And so
how about this?
Yeah, there's a lot of how about
buy that. I buy. Let's say $9,910.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I like that piece of paper that's on your doorstep. Can I pay an additional? Can I pay you for that?
Well, that's a separate transaction for a separate product.
Exactly.
Right. But if you say, all right, I'll pay you I'll pay you $5,000 now as a deposit, then $5,000 later. Well, the government doesn't know that one was a deposit. You're not submitting invoices and financial accounting records. They'll just say you paid that guy twice, and you obviously meant to pay him $10,000. You know how that's a felony for not reporting that. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. This is for tomorrow. I'm going to get all crazy with it.
Well, so I want to let
No,
you know.
no, Pitmonk can't do that. It says maybe we're going to receive payments to multiple wallets. Multiple wallets are out. The FinCEN's rules will say you cannot use anything except one primary wallet, and you cannot create one-time wallet uses. How about that? And you can't hop wallets to get to your destination. That's what their rules are that they're not passed. They're trying to promulgate them right now.
There's no way, because here's the thing. If I set up a whole entire system within the U.S., and then I go over somewhere else, let's say Mexico, or I go
You're a
over,
U.S. citizen, doesn't matter. You'd have to renounce your
but
citizenship.
how are they going to know that when I open up another bank account somewhere else underneath a completely different system, under a completely different, not same name, but the reality is this: how are they going to track it underneath another?
Because that bank will report your activity to the United States. Pretty much any bank that wants to operate in the United States is forced to operate. That's why all these other people want to start other things, BRICS and all that, because all those banks, if they want to operate in the U.S. system, participate in the Treasury system, participate in anything else, they have to report everything to the U.S. And that's why famously the Swiss banks, I think it was about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they finally capitulated and said, sorry, there's no more secrecy. We have to report everything to the U.S. government. Not everything for all their customers, but anyone that's a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, actually, what was it? It was Wolf of Wall Street. Actually, when that was actually the. Remember when he's talking over the phone in a very secretive way with the guy in Switzerland.
Yeah, they're tightening it up, and until these old guys get out of office and Elizabeth Warren gets out, her new Bank Secrecy Act updating act has 20 United States senators signed on to it as co-sponsors right now, and a lot of these guys are on the Senate Banking Committee too. So if they pass it out of the Banking Committee, has a good chance of passing the Senate, which would basically eliminate DeFi wallets altogether, and you would have to. You could only use a central custody point. You couldn't self-custody anything. It's crazy. Oh, we got on such a tangent there. Anyway, but we got to get on with another part of the show. Pedro, I'm going to talk ETFs for just a minute, and Gary Gensler. And before we get back to reading some charts, I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I could go on forever. And tomorrow, without Pedro, I'll be able to go on forever all day.
Actually, so things did get switched around with me, so I will be able to be there tomorrow.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll just take time to opine during certain parts of it, and we'll get on with a normal show tomorrow. So whatever I said, forget it.
but we could still go through and talk about dope stuff, though. I mean,
we'll have no, that's all good, perfect. Okay. But I think before the show starts in the starting soon scroller, I had the show started tomorrow at 1 because I was just going to be by myself. But we can do 12 tomorrow, no problem too.
Excellent.
All right. Anyway, why are we here today? And that is ETF. Well, we're here today because we want to come to you every day and we want to build our show and make tons of money. That's why we're here every day. But why are we here today? Let me get my stuff close. And let me find my other thing here. Oh, by the way, we're up $264 now. Losing $1 in BNB. Mike, you're on the ropes here. ETFs. I have on the screen the post from my friend Anton Golub here. He did he's been posting a lot about ETFs, and Anton is convinced that any day it's going to happen now. Tomorrow, maybe even tonight, tomorrow. And for a lot of good reasons. Because all of the banks are talking about it. They're all coming in, circling their wagons. They're getting their ducks in order. There's lots of news leaking out about it. All this stuff that shows, the activity shows that it's going to happen. But there's also other concerns about it, and there's other news leaking that Gensler, like we saw yesterday, a group with a big social media presence posted, it's not going to happen for various reasons, and it caused the market to tank, and then a little bit, and then the market picked up some, a liquidation cycle, and dropped 10% yesterday because of it. And so there's still some doubts about it. But what I wanted to talk about, and if any of you have any insight on this, the BNB, Mike says the BNB call is a long call Hail Mary pass. We're not doing Hail Marys here. Might have to sell that today. Anyway, if any of you have I shouldn't say insight, I should say your own opinion on our friend Gary Gensler here, feel free to air it out in the comments, other than just curse words, but maybe some reasons why he would not want to grant these things. We've always said that Gary Gensler has acted on behalf of the banking industry. Now the banking industry is now coming into Bitcoin with ETFs saying, we're here, we're doing it, and he's still pushing back. And so what are his motivations? And I'll give you an opinion as to two of my ideas for motivation. One, he likes being the boss. And right now, he is the center of attention from all sides of the argument. He's from the crypto side, from the banking side. He's the man. Everyone's trying to get a hold of him on speed dial, and his executive assistant is playing gatekeeper. He is the man in the industry. And there's no arguing that. Jamie Dimon is the king, the emperor of the whole banking industry right now. But right now, the emperor is being held across the river because the bridge is out. And the guy with his button on the bridge up and down button, is Gary Gensler. So he's the guy, and he's enjoying it because he's never been the guy in his life. He's never been the guy in his life, and he's always been rooting around trying to become the guy, and he's finally the guy. And that's powerful motivation, psychological motivation for a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot. Certain personalities of people. That is, I'll just come out and say it's a dangerous thing. I've done business with a couple people like that in my life, and every time it's worked out very badly. Because when someone puts their personal ego over the best interests of whatever they're trying to do, you make bad decisions, or you lead people in directions that make you feel good, but are not the best directions for your product, marketing, or cash flow. And it's a bad thing. And those types of personalities are things you need to watch out in life. And as I've told people before, when you find those people in life that have that big ego, want to be the man, you need to prune them from your life, whatever the cost, because they will hold you down, either through their actions, what they do, where they lead you badly by manipulating your head, or by those around you, or just making business a bad plan for you. And it's my opinion that Gary Gensler is doing that right now, and he's enjoying being the man. Second, there's less of a opinion on my part and more of a problem with the way this is going about. Currently, Coinbase is the only one mentioned being 12 out of 13, 14 out of 15 applications are using Coinbase to custody their Bitcoin and hold on to it in their trust department to make sure that if anyone goes bankrupt, the people's funds don't get lost, which we'll give that as a good thing in general. But one of the issues with that is that there's one point of failure. Now we understand that it's being held in Custodia, that's Caitlin's company, and Coinbase's trust division, or whatever you call it, it's not held in their general user funds. And if Coinbase goes bankrupt, these things are separate. But still, it's one place, and that could go wrong. And if one person's custody thing I'm sure they're not going to put it in one hot wallet, and some kid in Moscow is going to be like, "Ha, I just stole $1 trillion." It's not going to be like that. There'll be a more secure way of storing that. But it's one point of failure. I think Fidelity is also going to custody, one of their branches is able to custody their own stuff, because they have a surveillance sharing agreement with the exchanges, meaning that they can see, the SEC can go in and see the markets and see the inside books and who's trading what, to ensure there's no price manipulation, or at least be able to go back. They might not be able to see it live, but they might be able to go back and do that. That's important in enforcement and saying, hey, this market maker's manipulating the price, yada, yada, yada. That's what they try to do, keep that out. So there's one point of failure. And we have our friend Caitlin Long, who's been on this show before, setting up her bank to do what? To custody Bitcoin, yet they're not letting her do it. So those are my two ideas of why Gensler is operating this way. And it's good to think about it in ways different than just looking at the actual investment, like is ETFs going to boom BTC or not. You got to look at the broad picture. If you're just playing around with your extra money after you paid the rent and paid for the fuel in the old truck, that's a different thing. But if you're doing this, like I say, like Pedro is, and if you're doing this like a lot of other people out there for a living, you have to take in a lot of macro things also in order to really feel that you have a handle on things. So those are my ideas on why Gensler's operating as the Grim Reaper. One, he wants to be the man, and he's enjoying it, so he's going to drag it out as long as possible. And two, he's actually concerned that while he's allowed Coinbase to custody this stuff, he's probably still looking for alternatives. And they just can't do it with anybody. I mean, Coinbase is fully licensed, although they're still suing them on another part for illegal stuff a couple of years ago. And the SEC can only really recommend people deal with fully licensed groups that are good to go. And the reason why isn't just because there's a law saying you have to deal only with fully licensed people. It's because these are ultimately government officials, government people, and people in government jobs do not bet their career on crappy decisions. They make crappy decisions without realizing it. Let's not forget that. But they don't go into something. They go into something and says, if I choose Coinbase and it doesn't work, it should work because we went through all of this evaluation. And so my career is safe picking them. Picking a brand new bank, Custodia, Caitlin's bank, it would be a good idea because she's at the top of technology. She knows everything, but it's new. And the government doesn't like to bet on new things, as you can see from the enforcement effects going on with crypto. So there's some institutional bias against picking anyone other than the established giant, but there's also the idea of Gensler being the man. That's my idea about that. But let's go into and I had Anton's thing up because in 2023 only 2.25 billion was invested in crypto exchange traded products, ETFs and other real world assets and that type of stuff. And it's not very much because you can do that in the UK. You can do that in Singapore, and there's a couple other jurisdictions. There are small ETFs you can invest in right now for Bitcoin. It's just that they're not traded on NASDAQ and iShares, and so the whole world doesn't have access to them. It's very hard to get in and out of them. And so he says in 2023, we had the third largest year of capital inflows into crypto. Looking at the data back to 2017, you can see this chart, the ins and outs of crypto here. And the money coming in now is just starting to boom. It'll be $300 billion. It looks like 2023, which is amazing. CoinDesk Decrypt has a good article. I'm not going to go over it now because we've been talking long enough about 3 possible scenarios for Bitcoin ETFs in 2024. Talking about whether they're going to boom and drag the market up with them, whether they're just going to be another trading product, or whether they're going to actually hurt Bitcoin. Because ultimately the ETFs will end up owning all the Bitcoin. The price will shoot up for sure, but it won't be traded much except for the SAT trading market. So it's a good article. If you want the link to that, someone let me know. I'll drop it in the comments. And what was the other one here? Oh yeah, and then I while I was being the pessimist there. Bitcoin ETFs look very likely given these bureaucratic SEC steps because CoinDesk is saying, it's got a 98% chance of it going no problem. But they wanted to say, what were the reasons why? The SEC has requested that issuers have their authorized participant agreements. You've seen notes saying the BlackRock has got Goldman Sachs as a participant, yada, yada, yada. So they're, like I said, they're buttoning everything up.
Well, here's my question. I think it's super important in relationships. So with the SEC, they can see as well as the Fed that if Americans get entrenched within Bitcoin, and let's say 10% or 15% of their portfolio is a part of it, right? Which I don't think it would be, but potentially, bankers get greedy. And every 4 years, they can almost count on a drop and a meteoric, or I don't know why I keep saying, a rocket rise to the point where it's just ridiculous, right? And it's going to be interesting to see how are we going to still have these huge dips, and if we do, then how are they going to handle it? Like, how are they going to handle the whole entire scope of things when it comes to Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin isn't I don't think it's an asset that you should fully hold on to in your portfolio. I think you should have it because it's like gold. It is something that you can take and use down the road when things go crazy. So I'll sit there. How is Gensler going to handle in the next bear market? Right, this bull market, it's just starting. It's gonna get going, right? And then with real money, we're talking. I think we could, like I said, I think we could go from, a 6 trillion market cap of crypto, which is nothing, to really 15. I mean, that's doubling.
I
crypto,
agree.
$15 trillion market cap, and obviously Bitcoin will probably be half of that, or if not a third, right? And so looking at this from a global standpoint, if this thing is really going to become a real thing, and you start to have all these ETFs and mutual funds that can take part in Bitcoin, there's going to be a lot of money that you're going to sit there and see exit the market when it's at its peak. And when you have a fall, I mean, potentially, because anybody like me and you, right? We're like, boom, all right, the bear market ends. But your average Joe doesn't get it. Like, I had a guy the other day was sitting there like, oh, Bitcoin, that's crypto, dude. Put your money in crypto, you'll lose. And I'm like, well, yeah, I agree if you don't understand its cycles. Just like if you go up to your wife and she's, it's that time of the month and the friend is around and you say something stupid, yeah, you're going to lose. She's going to come at you like you just best to shut your mouth, right? It's you got to understand the cycles. Cycles are important in life, right? If you go out and think you're going to run around during the wintertime, right, in shorts, you're going to freeze. So it's like this. Do you think they really get? I don't think I think the government gets it. I think that people get it who are in crypto, and I think the bankers get it, and they can see, wow, this thing moves, and we could almost guarantee, a certain amount of money coming in every 4 years, right? Where we could add to our balance sheets. I don't think that the actual general public get it. And so when they start to see the fluctuations of this, people are adverse to risk. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, I would say that ultimately people are adverse to risk, but in the crypto and digital assets, as you've seen, people are less adverse to risk. Notably, some of these projects that we see get invested in and rug pulled time after time. And so I agree with like the industry and the banks and stuff that are coming in, that they're averse to risk. But I think what they're doing with this, to kind of take your idea in a little different direction. What they're doing with this is they've created a way to invest in crypto and say it's not our fault if it breaks or you lose all your money. They say, well, we created this special fund. It's once removed. Someone else is holding the Bitcoin. We're not even involved in that. It wasn't me. It got stolen. Wasn't me. It's not. You go sue them, not us. And
it's like the cerveza sickness with the what do you call it?
Cerveza sickness.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? The cerveza sickness when it comes down to, let's say, the company called Lizers, but put an F in front of that, or other companies out there that said, hey, as long as you can take out the responsibility here, we're down. We'll make billions of dollars. We'll be happy. I mean, the cerveza sickness was a clear sign of people saying, well, we're not the custodians of it. We're just the one distributing it. Unless I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that.
No, I don't think you're misunderstanding that at all. But I do want to take a quick social media timeout, or to recognize some other people. Dara Lawton, thank you very much for commenting, watching us on LinkedIn. Appreciate it very much.
BRIC nations.
Dara posts, the BRICS nations are looking more free these days. Yeah, you're going to get me started on BRICS.
Yes.
But,
I was going to, no, let's jump there because I think here's the thing. BRIC nations will then be the one, because if they are backed by Bitcoin, and then in additionally too. Now, again, I was just talking about how, China is literally imploding. We have a lot of the other nations out there like Russia that are a part of this, again, imploding, like legit. And are they trusted? I believe to always keep learning. I agree with that. But in the same sense, I think it's important to understand that these nations, right? Yeah, they may be super the centralization of.
Yeah, he makes a good comment here. Should we have horses pull our automobiles? It's a great point, right?
Good point. Yes.
Some people believe in that, and I'm gonna read that. You could probably read this thing two ways. I'm gonna read that as why should we have the SEC, which is the old horse in the room, pulling our shiny new Corvette around. And so I agree with that. Space Cat, welcome back. But Dara, I'm sorry I'm not getting your name right. Darug. Welcome and share this with your friends. We do a good show here. Do it just about, not every day. We do it about 15, 20 times a month, I guess, or something. Whatever it is, we do it. Pay attention to us. Put us on LinkedIn. Put the follow and notify button, whatever, and you'll get notified when we go live and that type of stuff. Appreciate it. And also welcome everyone on Twitter. We've got I'm broadcasting on Twitter today. We have some Twitter followers. If you're watching on Twitter, drop us some hearts or likes or whatever, and reshare the stream, please. That helps a lot. And join us on YouTube if you're watching this live, because Twitter also will play it on a replay. If you're watching this live, come over to YouTube and watch us and join the conversation. It makes it easier for my great comment machine. And lastly, Crypto Mike, that's why I only said $1,000 on BNB. And by the end of the show, I will correct that back to $1,000 position instead of $5,000.
You know what's interesting, and I was just thinking about this, Mr. Lawton. You made the comment that it's the decentralization of decentralization, the intermediate of disintermediation. Should we have? That is one of those things that I always thought about. This, you look like your generation. Forgive me, Generation Z, or potentially, I can't see how old you are, but you look fairly young, right? So as my generation gets older and we're much more understanding of this, I think a lot of these laws that are actually being produced today will probably be dismantled. I think that the old guard, as it is moving out, right? As we get older and we start to see the systems, it's almost like we look back and we look at the founding fathers, and a lot of the stuff that were passed, right, in the laws, we kind of look over, except for like freedom of speech, freedom to hold arms, right, and freedom to assemble, right? Like these things are super important to us. But a lot of the other laws that are still there, we kind of look at them and we kind of like, well, that was more kind of for the time, and they are applicable, but not necessarily in today's society. It's going to be really interesting to see as the new form of government, it really starts to evolve, because I believe that DAOs are going to really start taking over. They put a kibosh on the DAOs, but I don't think we've heard the last of DAOs, nor I don't think we've heard the last. And we'll start to have, like, I feel like a type of city state as corporate entities start to take on a decentralization of real assets, right? All of a sudden, that becomes a way where you can take an asset and sell in traditional finance, where I can't sell it, let's say, overseas real quick and easy. But whereas I could easily do that as it tokenized through tokenization of it. So it'd be really interesting to see as the generation, I know it was a lot to say, but as the generation progresses, and let's say you see more Generation Xers, you see more Generation Y people start to move over the next 30 to 50 years, I think a lot of these stuff that we see today will be just kind of thrown out saying, that was the old guard. It was just slow and steady. And so as we come into, should we pull the horse with our car? I think we're just going to run over the
other way around. Pull the car with the horse.
Sorry. Pull the car with the horse. Sorry, forgive me. I think what we'll see is definitely just Generation X and Generation Y and Generation Z just say, we're done. Like, you guys, I think you guys did good. I think you guys were doing good. We're going to give you what you're worth. Here you are, right? Like, you want to hold on to making money, but it's an antiquated system. And I think we'll see, just like with Kodak versus digital, right? That it will be a thing of the past that you need to be able to sit there and hold, but it will be more nostalgic versus actually going through and seeing it used on a practical sense, right? Just because as technology evolves, that's what we see today. So I really love that statement. I apologize. I had this huge diatribe and I was sitting there
Hey, that's what this show is for. Get those opinions out, baby.
It was brilliant, brother. Like, I love that. That was brilliant. It was awesome. Loved it. Also, guys, on all this stuff.
Hold on. I just posted Derek. If you could put a phonetic pronunciation of your name there, I would really appreciate it, because I'm butchering it. And maybe, do I need a Scottish accent, an Irish accent? Do I need a Russian accent? Do I need American? Do I need something from Missouri? I guess I could look at your LinkedIn profile and figure it out, but I don't know how to pronounce that properly. But I've got an Irish background with G's and H's and A's and all that kind of stuff in it.
I just call him Lawton. Mr. Lawton, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you.
Yes. Mr. Lawton, what is your opinion of the markets today? Welcome, Facebookers. We got a few viewers over on Facebook, too. Believe it or not, we're giving that platform a little try. Also, Facebook is a place where you get nothing back except scammers and fake marketplace ads until you get to the right one.
That's it, bro.
The Irish accent is the best. Okay, daughter.
That's awesome. It's funny. Even though my name is Pedro Garcia, my grandfather was Irish Italian, and so
he's drunk and pissed off all the time.
Drunk and pissed off all the time, and then
it's Irish and Italian.
Irish accent, the best. That's awesome. But in the same sense, I look at this. I look at where we're sitting right now, at least in our time, where it's like you have the old guard holding on for dear life, right? I'd almost look at it like maybe Egypt and ancient Canaanite culture, right? And how there was almost like a depression before the next really explosion into the why am I forgetting what it's called? What came after the Crescent Fertile? You had Sargon the Great, and then you had that split up and all that.
That part of the brain is closed right now.
So, anyways, I said that
history is off today.
Well, I say that because it's almost, I feel like where we're going to have this vacuum here where like if you look right now at the current market, like, and this is where I want to bring this up because, look, I want to show you. So this is the 10-year bond right now.
Hold on, let me bring you back up here.
Oh, forgive me.
All right.
So this is the 10-year bond, or 20-year bond. Excuse me, not bond. And you can see we had a huge sell-off up in November, right? But the thing is we're starting to see things kick in. And
I'm going to refresh the LT here.
Go ahead. I think we're going back up again. I think the fact that I'm seeing the 30-year bonds push up with volume and it's starting to get going here with a lot of demand wicks as we were coming down, I do think that they're going to start pushing things up in the same sense. Where are we at? There we are. We had demand wicks as we were coming down on the weekly chart here. And the previous couple of weeks, you've seen how they've sold it off, came back, sold it off, come back. And I think we're going to see another bond run this year, which means that, and I know a lot of people think that the Fed are going to go through, and I could be wrong, and I think I may probably be right. And the reason why I'm about to say that is, we'll see. It all depends on what they want to do, and how Volcker Powell's going to truly be here, right? Is he going to really hold down, and say, no, we need to de-escalate the debt, we need to take off the Fed balance sheet, and we need to balance the economy. If he's going to do that, he's got to hold on to this, which means that he can't pivot on the. And also, this has to do with tomorrow when it comes to the employment or the jobs the jobs rates here, right? If we have a ton more jobs and unemployment, right, and if they actually look at the real numbers, then it's going to be really interesting to see. He should raise rates again. He should raise rates, right? Because he needs to balance that difference between the actual government and the balance sheet. And they need it. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff they need to get rid of. The reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm looking at, and granted, I am not a fundamentalist, right? So a lot of this is fundamental, and I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I do look at the charts. And for me, I'm looking at this. I could see, honestly, the charts coming for the 30-year bond back up to excuse me, not bond yields. Forgive me. I see the bond yields coming up. And the reason why I say the bond yields coming up is because the bond, here we are, forgive me. The bonds are starting to go down here. I'm like flipping the whole entire thing. I don't know why I do that sometimes. So that's dyslexia. Forgive me for that. But you have the bonds going down here, which means that interest rates should go up. We're already starting to see a sell-off, and the sell-off is pretty substantial. And we're barely just starting really this week. And you can see that we're already above last couple of weeks. So it's going to be really interesting. How far can the bonds go? It's a straight shot all the way back down to the 107 mark area. So for me, like when I'm looking at this on the 30-year bond and on the 10-year bond, it's pretty clear. We're going down. We put in a bunch of supply wicks here, and we bounced off of our demand zone here, and we went through it. Like if it would have held here, I would have said, okay, boom. But look, this has a lower high here. And so this right here is the next part is a lower low, which means they've got to raise rates, which means they're getting ready for the raising of rates, which is the yield, which is what I was looking at prior. And forgive me for saying that.
Well, Pedro, tell people why you look at this.
Oh, thank you. Because this all has everything to do with the amount of money that people have for spending. It's real simple. I look at a few things. I look at the bonds. I also look at crude oil, right? If crude oil is moving up, right, the futures, then that means that pricing for crude oil and or gas that you put in your car is going to go up. Okay. And so that means that if I start to see, like, here's a demand zone, you see, we've been playing out, we put in a higher high off of this low, which means we're getting ready for crude oil to go back up again. Right. And so for me, I'm looking at this going, right, is this, and I'm looking at this purely from a technical analysis, basically from the charts. I'm not a fundamentalist, but I do pay attention very much to the fundamentals, but I didn't go to school for it, so I don't know all the details behind it. And I'm learning even as we speak. But it's still, to me, as I'm looking at this chart, right, on here, that crude oil is going to go up. And additionally to that, I see bonds, right, moving up, which means, or excuse me, bonds moving down, which means that yield should be moving up. And if the interest rates, if Powell sits there and raises interest rates again, and makes it harder for jobs to be created, which means then that it makes, we're going to go into a recession. And if that recession hits hard, okay, and they start laying more people off in jobs because it's harder to do business, then that means that money's not going into crypto, which means then that our banks, the banking system, will be able to buy in a lot more of what Bitcoin does, which means that people are going to sell off their crypto to make ends meet.
Well, we kind of talk from the USA perspective here. Let's talk from a Nigeria, Turkey, Argentina perspective, Venezuela perspective for a minute, in which it's much easier to everything you just spoke about. Think about it as if the government can't pay its bills, it's going to print, or can't sell enough bonds, and by raising rates, it's going to print more money. It's going to raise the rates a lot to attract money, and still it's going to print money if it doesn't want to do it that too much. Inflation goes up. And in Argentina, inflation's running 100% per year. Imagine 100%. Like your salary, say your job, the salary is $100,000 a year, or in Argentina it's 10,000, whatever the number is, and that every year it's reduced by 50% in its buying value, because next year 200,000 is the same as what 100,000 is. And so, in essence, Bitcoin and other cryptos, or bonds in the United States government, act as a flight to safety. To secure your money. And you can tell what Pedro was talking about, the markets going up and down based on what the U.S. government does and the yields it puts on his bonds signifies how much money the U.S. government needs to spend. And And that can be a good thing if it's buying stuff that's infrastructure based, investments in our future. But if it's just paying people to sit at home and do nothing like during COVID, or if it's on useless social programs, not saying social programs are useless. I'm saying there's of the useless ones that are vote getters and things like that, or wasting money on war. Not saying anyone's particular war is a good one or a bad one. I'm just saying all war is a sinkhole for money that doesn't get you anything. These bond rates become very, very good harbinger of things to come. And that's why people pay attention to them really on a second by second. When the government's buying and selling stuff, either raising money or pulling it back from the market through the repo window or something like that, it's really important to watch this because a lot of the big people out there in the market makers say, hey, there's going to be more money coming into the market. There's going to be less money coming into the market. So, and and as crypto becomes more widely accepted, all these things will affect crypto on a day-to-day, on a minute-to-minute basis instead of a long-term thing, because crypto's that's an old side thing.
Well, I think it's going to be much more complicated, really complicated, because crypto is adding such a unique factor to people's ability to make money, people's ability to actually go through and get loans. So, for example, let's say Argentinian banks are charging, let's say, 150% a year, right, off of loans. Well, I can go into Coinbase or Binance, wherever, right, or Crypto.com, and sit there and say, all right, I have X amount of crypto. I want to get a loan for X amount. They say, hey, okay, we're going to charge you 5%, right? So it's going to bring this give and take. There's going to be a war here. From a financial war to an actual probably physical war at one point in time, because this is real. And this is why I say crypto is right now the new guard coming in with the, like better technology, but it's not big enough yet. So the governments and many of what we're seeing is trying to crush it. Now, for example, like China right now is imploding right now, right? People are actually afraid to talk to Xi and give him actual real data. The whole entire economy is really kind of falling apart there from just goods and services, even though they do have a good silk or the transport or the I said the Silk Road, but the communication and production for a lot of South Africa. But South Africa could easily switch over to America again and kind of even say, we don't want to do business with you because honestly, here's your money back, or just saying, we're not going to pay you back. Peace, right? Not that would happen, but it might happen if things really start to get hairy with the BRICS. Jumping back to here, CPI. I want to bring this up because this is important also for us to look at on my system here. I like to look at this, right? This basically lets us know inflation was actually happening, right? And this is government data. All right, so I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna I'm gonna put 2,000. So what it is I put a certain amount of money up here for $100, what it would be after a certain period of time. So it's been 23 years. Money typically doubles, okay? Inflation will typically double within a period of 23 years. Okay, so when you look at it from a long standpoint, okay, if you had $100 but in 2020 or in 2000, this year it should be $200. Okay, now you're like, Pedro, well, that's what you just did, and look, it's $100 is $181. Okay, now this period in time has a lot to do with what Obama did and actually what George Bush did. But in particular, what Obama did with certain things that he did with Russia and just a lot of stuff. People don't realize that Biden and Obama are extremely restrictive. We thought that Trump is. Dude, when you look at the restrictions and the things that he's put on the rest of the world, but it's a different world compared to what Obama and what everything else happened during that period in time. Now, but it still slowed down inflation, right? Like there was one point in time during the Obama, I was about to say reign, during the Obama administration, where we literally had like 0.8% or 0.1% annual growth instead of 3% on an inflation. Not annual growth, excuse me, inflation growth. Okay, but now I'm going to bring this up. So that equates for this. Now, if you're driving, let's say you drive a grandma's car, right? You're given a grandma's car and you're driving.
Oh,
and
I need the image of grandma's car, like a 1957
Okay.
Dodge Dart or something like that.
No, I'm talking a Toyota Corolla that's been driven for the last 25 years.
It's got 300,000 miles on it.
Yeah, 300,000 miles, but they've done like 10,000 miles, and grandma never went over 60 miles an hour. Grandma, at the most, during, if she's driving through a school district, went literally, 10 miles an hour instead of the 25. Never pushed the car, okay? So it's going through a certain point. Now, all of a sudden, some guy, grandma wants to get rid of the car. Grandma's going into a nursing home. Daughter's saying, we need to find some good person. So they find a youngster kid that gives it. Some dad goes through, finds it for his kid, and says, here you go, son or daughter. There you go. How fast? Now, I'm just talking because that engine has not been pushed hard. And most likely that kid getting that car, he's definitely going, the first thing that he does is on the freeway, and he's going to see how far they can push it before the governor kicks in.
Otherwise known as my son.
There you go. That's just how guys are. Or even I've seen teenage girls do the same thing. So it doesn't even matter, right? Now, this is the reason I say, well, Pedro, get to the point. Here's the point. All right.
To the point.
Here we go. All right. Now, look, I'm going to we're going to bring this up here to, when did COVID start? Or can't say the word. The Savasa sickness start?
Say February of 2020.
All right. 2020. Boom. Here we go. 2020. We're talking in 2 years. Oh, 3 years, excuse me. We've gone up 19%. 19%. That is like when it was used to, let's say, being at the most 3 to 4%. We're seeing, within a 4-year period, right? And that's not even, I guess 4 years, but here, you said February. You're seeing a push that is ridiculous. We're talking, it was ramping up already. So in the last few years, we've easily seen 5% interest rate easily on a day-to-day, whereas prior to that, it was barely even going up. If we see the bonds start to push down again and interest rates push up, this right here in 2024, because of the housing situation, that's the other thing I didn't talk about. Maybe we should wait.
That's another thing not to get me started on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one tomorrow.
We need a whole nother channel, just 24-hour rant channel. Tom and Pedro just complaining about everybody else. If we were king, that's the name of the channel. If we were kings, and then how would we do it?
No, the problem is then people would actually get behind us and almost make me have to run for office, and then I would say no because I just don't want to deal with it.
Right. I don't want to deal with that crap.
Yeah, dude. But the reality is, I'm more of a gladiator. Are you not entertained? Than a politician in Caesar's cabinet talking about, because I don't want to look back and go, "Eat to Brutus, eat to." Right? At least I want to see my enemies in front of my face. So, it's crazy. It's nuts what we're dealing with. Sorry, I just went on a complete rant.
Sorry, but I think what's important to note, what Pedro just said, everybody, is that in the past 2 years, you've lost 19% of your money. And so unless your investment accounts earned not 10% a year, but say with compounding 8% a year, we'll just forget compounding. We'll just round it. Unless you've lost 20% over the past 2 years, unless your investment accounts have made 20% over the past 2 years, you are poorer today than you were at the beginning of the year in 2021. Now, how about that? No, or 2022. I'm sorry. All of 23, all of 22. Yeah, beginning of 2022, you are 20% poorer. If you didn't get a raise, how about this? If you did not get a 20% raise over the past 2 years, you're making less money or less value. You're worth less because of that. That's amazing. And like I said earlier, we're talking about it from a USA perspective. Imagine it from an Argentinian perspective or a Venezuelan perspective. And that's why you see all these people say, especially financial analysts in the U.S. who've come up through the banking system and are like, Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, it'll never work, and all this kind of stuff. But they're looking at it through a very small lens of the U.S. banking system, which has been fighting it for a while. But when you look at it through the lens of an Argentinian family member, the father just got paid and the wife's, cooking for the family, or the wife just got paid and the husband's taking care of the kids or whatever, they're thinking, wait a minute, we can't afford to lose 50% of our money this year because bread didn't go down 50% and fuel didn't go down 50%. They went up with inflation too. And so it's like, hey, I can use this app on my phone and I can convert it to this stuff called stable coins, USDT or Bitcoin or whatever. And all of a sudden, inflation goes up 100%. And everyone else around you loses your money, but you're sitting on fat American dollars now. Or there's now stable euros or stable, Hong Kong dollars or whatever. Trying not to be so US-centric here. And you've come out ahead because you on your app did that. But the rest of us, I'll just say, as someone close to me recently got a 50% raise in their job. And I was like astounded. I was like, oh my God, you got a 50%. It was a collective bargaining agreement in which the union got a 50% raise. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. A 50% raise, blah, 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 blah. And he's just listening to me and he's like, well, we haven't had a new contract in 5 years. And so our pay is based on 5 years ago. And if you look at inflation over the past 5 years,
we can find it right now.
And you're like, you're right. He said it was not. He said, so it's not just a 50% pay raise from today till tomorrow. It was 50% from starting back. It might have been 7 years ago too, but we'll just go with 5 for the argument's sake here, and what that is. And then you look at it like that, and you go, this is the consequence of overspending the government. There's inflation when the market becomes too efficient. Is making things cheaper and everyone can buy more stuff and there's more consumer spending. That's one thing. But then there's inflation from government money printing, and that's a different thing.
Yeah, and that's not actually added into the CPI system.
Right, and it's different, and it's not. And the money printing one is not good.
Well, and then
SpaceX says if I got a 50% raise, I'd put it all in crypto. Yeah.
If CPI, so here's the thing. So CPI also, the number calculation has been changed multiple times to where it actually views in favor for the U.S. government to make them look better, as if they're actually doing something. They've eliminated a lot of
those numbers.
Yeah, so these are actually not the real numbers, and then they do get changed again, even from those real numbers to the real numbers. But this will happen over a period of 2-3 months. So it's almost a sad situation where it's just like, even if you see the information, most Americans can't sit there and remember what they had yesterday for lunch, let alone go back and look at a data point to sit there and say, you're screwing me. Because they can't hold any attention, because literally what they're eating is so filled with, anyways, I don't even want to.
That's another thing we got to fix too, is the food content and stuff. That's.
Well, here's the thing: it doesn't behoove the government to do that, because if we can remember what's actually happening and actually have the cojones, literally the testosterone that runs through male and females to get pissed off, which we're losing, literally, basically because of our food, we would stand up. I mean, the reason why you see these guys in Massachusetts get up and get mad and run and dress up and be stupid is literally because they had the cojones, because they were souped up and they were ready, and they were just strong men.
Talking about the Boston Tea Party, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, apologize. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry.
All right, Pedro, let's take why don't you take a quick break to regroup for a second? I'm going to talk about our sponsors for a minute here. When we come back, let's finish off the show talking about some charts and some projects and get people excited about investing in our crypto portfolio here. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as I always like to say here, let me go to the close-up
and our
here.
fake portfolio. Make
Yeah,
sure we
in our fake portfolio, right? Exactly.
our demo portfolio.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this moment to talk about our sponsors here. As I always like to say, this show could not be done. Actually, it could be done without our sponsors, but it would be less often, and it would be very, very less awesome. Okay, I'm promoting ourselves again. Who knows if it's awesome yet? You'll let us know if it's awesome. But what is awesome, and this is the bridge I was using here, what is a group called Camuso CPA, because there are not a lot of groups out there that can do crypto accounting for either you as an individual or your business. I don't know if you know this, but if you've watched our show, you probably do. Say you're a business, you're a Tom's Printing Company, and someone says, "Oh, I want to pay you in crypto," and you're like, "Fine, we're a modern company, we take crypto," and you buy that, or you take their money in, and then you're like, "I don't want to sit on this crypto," and you sell it. And get the US dollars. That's a taxable event. Unlike your currency, when you take it in and out of your accounts for getting paid for something, that's not taxable. There's sales tax on the transaction, but the dollars are not taxable if they change in value against something else. However, you have to report that on your taxes as owning crypto and taking it in, and when it went up for you, you made a little money. You have to report that as income. Camuso CPA can help you out with that. They're experts in that, and a lot of people say, "Yeah, I've got a Big Four accounting, or I've got one of these major accounting firms." And a lot of the accountants that think they're really experienced say, "Well, I just rely on what the people give me from their 1099s, from their Coinbase account or whatever, and it works out. It's just you just got to figure it out. You just got to do it." Well, how many accountants can go and read the BSC scan or ETH or Poly scan or whatever, and determine how many reflections you got, or rewards from a token that you want? Or, God forbid you invest in a contract that rebases. So you go on something that says, "I bought 1 million shares, and now you only have 1,000 shares or tokens," and the government then says, "Well, where'd your other stuff go?" And you're like, "Well, it's a rebasing token." The IRS is like, "I don't know what what? All I know is that you have less, and so you got to report the sale somewhere." And you're like, "I didn't sell it, but you have less." So when your accountant says, "It's no problem, I can do it because I'm a certified accountant," it's new. They don't have it all together. Patrick does this. I've done this. I keep going over it and over it and over it and over it. Crypto is different than currency and regular dollars because the IRS and the government treats it differently. Hopefully someday they'll treat it as a currency, or designate certain ones as a currency, so you don't have to report them as designate stable coins as a currency. But until then, call Patrick. It helps out the channel when you at least get an evaluation from them. Helps Pedro and I bring you more stuff. It helps out this show. He's the sponsor of this show. Sponsor of this channel, Audit Chain, which he's Jason Myers of Audit Chain helps sponsor this show, but also Rugged, Ruin, and Wrecked, Crypto Chit Chats, and all the other stuff I do online. And we can't say enough about what Audit Chain's product is coming to market right now. They're from what they tell me, they're gonna be onboarding their first customer here soon to use Audit Chain's protocol to do two things. To one, ensure their books are ready to file with the SEC. And it does this pragmatically through a blockchain, logically through a, I just can't get this right ever. I'll just say it does it with a validating nodes on the blockchain using a logic and reasoning engine that follows the taxonomy rules of your local jurisdiction for filing and or checking on other people's SEC filings, the ones in Europe, the ones in the UK, the ones in Australia, all that stuff. It can do it all. And what used to take guys 4 or 5 weeks from Deloitte or someone else like that to go over and review now takes 5 minutes. And using blockchain technology to check up on TradFi. How about that? So that's my talk about sponsors. Thank you very much to everyone, and thank you for joining us for 2024. We really appreciate it. Pedro, what's next?
Listen, I want to say, if your dog comes up to you and did you need it is a cute dog. I gotta admit, like, I know at times it can be annoying, but that dog comes up here, you bring it up and you say what's up, because that's a cute dog, dude. I'm a dog guy, so you know.
It is. It comes up and it's sitting right at my feet right now.
Yeah, if you
When
want, if
Mrs.
you
Striking is here, it sits at her feet. When she's not, it comes
well, of
over and sits at
course.
my feet.
I love it, man. I think that stuff is so dope. I'm a dog. I'm an animal guy. So actually, growing up, I wasn't an animal guy, but now, like as I got older and I've had dogs, or not dogs, but other people's dogs and stuff like that. Like I look, yeah, they're pretty awesome. Anyways, all that to say is let's check out some more charts here.
All right, let's bring Pedro's screen back on here, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm actually going to give you guys this here. This is actually a really, really good website. It is basically the Bureau of Labor Statistics by the U.S. government. Go through, become familiar with it because it really does help you. You can sit there, at least from their view of really is actually happening. A lot of people don't really pay attention to this, and they should. Right. I know we're all busy. We're all working, and that's what they want. They want us to work so hard that we don't pay attention. But we have to. We have to pay attention to the nuances because this right here is where they are stealing your life away. They're taking away your life force, and an understanding on how they're doing it is super important. So real quick, Tom, did you get what I did? It drop out? Because for whatever reason, I'm not seeing anybody's information here coming in.
What do you mean seeing their information?
On this social stream for that website where it shows everybody's comments. I don't know if mine went out or not. For whatever reason, it's
if you refreshed it, it eliminates all the history of it.
Oh, but I don't even get in when we do get it. So we'll talk about it later.
Hold on one second. It's entirely possible a new link got made. I just dropped you at NTG.
I appreciate it. All right, I'll click in here in a second, but I'll jump right here. So let me know, guys, what other stuff that you guys want me to look at, so I can go through and
Chuck, how many people are still here? Just so you know, across all platforms right now, we got about 25 people watching. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We've had 125 views on Twitter. All of them about 3 seconds. We get it, but there's been a couple longer than that. Facebook, we had a couple people watching for a while. They've dropped off. And LinkedIn, we've had a good crowd watching today too. Space Cat, thanks for watching while you're at the gym. Crypto Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Dara Lawton.
I call him Mr. Lawton. I like.
You gotta be like we're gonna facing a beer. Oh, we're having a beer with Dara Lawton.
Dara Lawton. Oh, that's awesome, dude. But like looking at the market here for or not crude oil. Excuse me. Shiba. Let's go over Shiba here real quick because Shiba had a nice little bounce. We're seeing it push up a little here. Where we came off of these lows here. I was expecting to go a little bit lower, but we are kind of rebounding here. Me looking at this area in Shiba Inu, I do see that we do have a crossover here, a little death crossover. So look forward for it to maybe to pull back up to at least that 1030 before we do see a little bit of a sell-off down to these lower levels of that 800, potentially 850 area. Coming back to where we're going to test the lows here. If not, we should see then Shiba Inu start to climb up and start to reach for that next level of 1800 to the 1679 area here, the next supply zone. And again, that will make a lot of people happy. So you probably might see some FOMO even push through this once that kicks in. If we see something like that, most likely Bitcoin has broken out and we're seeing a lot of FOMO going in. So that everybody's kind of waiting for, like I said, the ETFs and everything going through with that. Let's go ahead and look at, and please, if you guys have any ones you want me to go look at, please just let me know and I'll pull it up here. There we go. There we are, and I gotta switch here to the YouTube. Go Shiba. Yep.
What's next?
Let's go ahead and look at the next part here. What else do we look at normally?
Kaz, what's going on with Kaz?
Let's check out Kaz. What's up? All right, CAS, ST. CAS again is looking like it wants to go sideways here. We're still in this. I did expect to see some sell-off here, just simply because we've had a pickup in volume here. So a little bit of a sell-off to come back further, but it looks like it did rebound here for the day. But we did not close. Here's the key: if we do not close above the high here, then I am still bearish to the point of 0.7 cents here. And then potentially, if it does come down here to that 0.04 cent mark area.
What chart are you looking at there? Is that the daily?
Yeah, this is the daily mark here. So, but again, I don't see a lot of volume stepping in for today, and we're almost over here. So it potentially could. It all depends on what the Asian markets do with CAS by them pushing it up. But I don't see them. They pushed it up, and they're potentially going to probably drop it here again. So somebody paying attention to. Also, let's check out, what was the other one that we normally follow?
We were following Theta. I guess I could put the watch list up here.
Back down here. Theta. I know out of here. Theta, there we are. All right, so Theta did not have a deeper rebound like we've seen with a lot of the other ones. They have a smaller amount of volume coming in, so it looks like most likely it's going to push down to these lower levels here, which is more of the 95 cent mark area, and potentially coming down to the 64 cent area here to retest these lows to most likely push higher. So I do see, like I said, that 84 cent mark area is potential turnaround as well, but I doubt that. But if it is, be ready with that 84.94 area, cent mark area here, around that 10 cent mark area. When it comes down to this one, again, it doesn't bode well, the fact that we had a lot less buyers step in, and so if we had seen a higher push in this candle where we had a bigger demand wick at these levels, I would have been more bullish. But Theta is looking a little weak here right now. Not that it's weak, but that the fact is that, like, I'm looking at it from a charting standpoint. I like it. Like, I like it here, but I like it better here, right? That 85 cent.
It didn't seem to rebound as well from the dump, the market dump yesterday than other things did.
Absolutely. And then I think everything else pretty much looks the same. I've gone over Bitcoin here. We could check out. That's not. Oh, the shorts. Okay, yeah. I always love looking at this chart.
What's up, BTC?
Oh yeah, BTC. So
shorts.
Look at this.
Or BTC in general.
Yeah, no, this is BTC longs and shorts. So the BTC longs and shorts, you can see here, like, and I kind of scaled out so you can sit there. I pulled back just a little. So you can see here, we've actually had a lot of people not buying much. You've actually had a slowdown of people buying the actual chart. This is what I was talking about yesterday, right? That we don't have a lot of buys. And this is why I think we're going to see a drop in Bitcoin, because there's literally not a lot of people buying. And in the last few days, okay, of the people saying that this thing is going to open and things are going to be happening, I see more buyers stepping in the CME system, right, for the futures, than the actual spot coin. And so if you look at the spot coin, it's died off. Like, we're talking since January 1st here, huge sell-off, and we have a small little bounce back today. So to me, I'm looking at it going like, is it really going to push? And if you look at it from a grand scale of buyers and sellers, we should be seeing something like this, right? Like it's about to get crazy here, and we don't see, like, it's look, this is what we're seeing. Pop. And so you're like, well, it should be the shorts. No, because here are the shorts. The shorts are nowhere. And you're like, well, look, it went up there. Well, no, let's look at it from a larger scale.
Right.
Like that's nothing.
What time
Look
period
at
is that huge needle right there going up?
right here.
Yeah, yeah. What time?
This was in January or July of 2021.
Oh,
So it was
my
around
word.
the same. Yeah. So look, and then this is the push up in November 2022, right? Boom. So I'm a little skeptical of everything, of really seeing the market go up here.
All right, let's go back to the BTC chart itself, and
Yep.
let's talk about. As I agree, we share an idea for slightly different reasons. One is you looking at the charts. I'm kind of trying to figure out the macro end of it.
Yeah.
And your line there. Let me see if I can draw on this. This line here, the first orange circle I'm drawing. What is that resistance number there? It's hidden behind my thing here.
Actually, let me pull to the right. I'm sitting there. I'm like, where did I put our data screen between me and you? Where are you at, dude? There you are. Sorry, forgive me.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
that's
show me
fine.
again. Yeah, I see it. All right, yeah. So where is this? How
Yeah,
far does this
what
go
what
back?
what pricing level is that I just circle?
Okay, that is 45,000 to 48,000.
And okay, this top one is 48. My
Yeah.
kind of from just general research and thinking about it is that it's going to get up to like 40 set, not just wick up and touch it and then fall back like it kind of wicked up yesterday. But get up there, trade up to that level, and then we're going to see a correction. And it seems that your idea about where it's going to go as high as 48 is about the limit to us. We kind of seem to jive on that.
Yeah. Yeah. The key is how far is it going to fall back? Right. And so,
Right.
and so when, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I would like my bag to continue. But I've also got to sit there and look at, like, it's been nice to be able to sit there and go, hey, look, I'm actually, what the money that I put in is no longer negative. Yay. Right. Like, that's nice. So it's been nice for me.
Hey, Prism Network, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning. I haven't seen your name on the show before. I really enjoy new people that come in and comment. We've had a good show today. We cover all sorts of stuff. Apparently, you are familiar with Mr. Kaching. So glad you came on the show to watch. And he says Celestia is going to blow up big. Look at that.
Oh, snap.
Gonna blow up big. Prism, if you're behind, it's 2:33 p.m. Eastern time right now. You may be behind because we were talking about Celestia a while ago. We're the layer 0 that he mentioned.
All right, let's.
All right, I don't know if you're watching live or you're watching. You're behind the scenes a little bit.
Live.
But
Live.
and we got Carmen Crypto in the house. Chuck, what's up, Chuck? Says Carmen Crypto. Carmen, thanks for joining in all the way from Las Vegas, unless you're somewhere else. Carmen sent me a picture the other day, grilling out on the rooftops in Vegas, which you can only do in the winter months because it's blazing hot in the rest of the year. And beautiful view of the skyline of Vegas in the horizon. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Prism, thanks, man. I appreciate that, dude. We'll have to. I definitely want to hear more about it. You know, like, cause I like to know what mechanism you guys are using to actually put your protocol at just as a slamming base rate of being able to transact really high. But jumping back down here to I'm live. I just skipped through to see what was covered. Look at you. My bad, brother. My bad.
Thanks for joining in. We cover a lot of things, and we're not out here promoting anyone. We try to stay fairly neutral, but we're glad to learn about new projects. That's why we're called DYOR Live, for doing your own research. And so we'll bring new projects to talk about them, talk about their ecosystem, talk about how they work and all that kind of stuff. Happy to do that.
Yeah. And we'd like to go into the nitty gritty. Like if you're a real project, right, it should have some real knit and grit, some sticking power, right, processing power, the ability to really build and grow and do a lot of stuff with that. And so, come talk nerd. I'm kind of a nerd. I'm getting more nerdier.
Nerd up here.
A nerd alert, man. I'm a nerd, man. it's funny.
If Prism, if you're still listening, if there's a chart you want us to pull up or something like that, just drop it in the comments and
Yeah.
Pedro will find it. If it's an obscure chart, not on the major trading things, make sure you drop a link.
Yeah, we'll go check that out. So here's the thing, though, and I want to bring this up because this is one of those things for me. Like I look at, like I want to see real volume. I want to see real volume, and so I'm not seeing buys. So where are they buying? Where are they buying? Right? And so I bring this up because when you look at the BTC chart, literally on the CME. You can see here that this market here on the CME a few days ago were literally, and is this the daily? I believe so. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure. You can see here on the daily chart, and this is again the CME Bitcoin. It got all the way up, literally to 75. All right, and where are we at? Boom! It got the highest 47,105. Okay, that's 2,000 plus no. And then we saw the sell. And in that same sense, when you look at where my upper part of my zone is, that's that same area. So it's really interesting. You can see literally even today, like we're not even half of yesterday's sell-off.
Pedro, just very quick to jump into this chart with the black and the hollow things that I don't think anyone can understand it. No, I can't really tell what you're looking at. It's probably really bright on your screen, but on the stream, it's hard to tell what's going on.
Okay, so can you see just the individual candles here? This is a daily candle for Bitcoin, for the CME.
Just almost drew a penis there. Almost. Stopped myself just at the right moment.
Bro, I was literally watching. You just remind me of this. Oh, bro, this guy. He was literally. What was it? He was talking. Why am I having such a hard time? It cracked me up. He was a weatherman, and so he was showing where this what do you call it, storm was going, and it was. I almost called it a typhoon. But literally a hurricane was going. And he says, you see these two islands here? So he draws the two little circles. And then from there, bro, he goes, this is where it's at, but it's coming into this area. And so he literally draws like basically, a CMB. We'll call it CMB, right?
Right.
He drew a CMB, and I'm sitting there, and he's clueless. He's talking about it. He's going in on it, bro. And he goes, and this thing's gonna ram right into. I mean,
oops. Sorry there, everyone.
Yeah, and I was like, is this a parody? This has got to be a parody. It's so funny, and it wasn't. It was literally a dude, and later on, and you read the comments because comments are always the best, right? So it's somebody who says he actually almost got fired off of that show because of what he was actually talking.
That's awesome.
It's like, and here's the thing: how is he like when you're so involved in something? It's really hard for you to really see outside of what you're doing. So I just
we've all seen you get involved in things, Pedro.
Yes. So let's look at it like this. This right here is the last week that we've seen in crypto. Okay. Like I always say, if I see the market go up on Monday, what are we most likely going to see? Monday or Tuesday up, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday down, and then a sell or a leaving of your position, alleviation of your position so you'll see Friday maybe a little push up, pretty much a dead cat bounce. Well, it's the same thing of the new year. We see it go up to go down, right? And so for me looking at this, I'm sitting there seeing, now, yes, this is a new contract based off of Wednesday, right? Or last Wednesday, excuse me, not last Wednesday, December or Wednesday 27th. You can see here, like, really where everything turned over on Tuesday, right? But still, even then, if this is true, we should have seen a higher bounce back of institutions wanting to buy. Okay, and we don't see that. This is an institutional chart where they would look at, right? Like you can literally, you can go back, and I have here these are actually real buys and real sells happening within the institutions within Bitcoin. Okay, on the CME's chart here, and you can see it's very.
Space Cat, sorry for getting you to laugh out loud in the gym. and Prism, I sent you a DM on Telegram.
Definitely, that's awesome. So I'm so glad you liked it. It was so hilarious, bro. Anyways, so I want to show this off because look, all right, you're like, well, this just looks like a bunch of gibberish. What this is showing is basically, yes. What this, if you look at the yellow, okay, the yellow is literally shorts. The blue down here are buys. And when you look at the overall sentiment, as even at the where it's showing green, they're establishing their shorts. When you see yellow, right, as they're going up, it's shorting. So we're moving up and we see primarily yellow. Right, now let's look at the previous days. It's the same thing. Oh, it's not gonna, come on.
Loading.
Loading.
This looks like, that looks like the Matrix, man. That's what that looks like when you're zoomed in like that.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that I bring this up because it's important to pay attention to. That's just it. So right now, even though we're seeing it move up, what we really see, it's moving up to put in shorts on, because again, I've told you guys yesterday that the CME contract is 5x of what Bitcoin does.
Okay.
Right, it's 500 times. So if Bitcoin moves, right now the spot trading movement within Bitcoin. Let me pull this up, and now I'm gonna pull this up here real quick. There you are. All right, you can see here that the average trading day 1,700 points within a movement of a market within Bitcoin. Every day it trades within a daily range of 1750, right? So they can actually make on just one contract, almost if let's say they catch a half of a move, which a lot of times these guys don't. Like right now, like they've been going short. Like all this, I see more yellow. Remember on that other chart, than blue. So they're putting in. Go ahead.
Well, yesterday the longs got blown out. Everyone put in long orders, and the market dropped. Yeah, people put in long orders, you know, a limit order above. If it hits this, they think it's going to go higher, break through, or they put it down lower. Said it's gonna, if it comes down and drop this level, it's going to bounce off and go back up. But yesterday, it went down and got a bunch of longs, and kept going down. And then they got liquidated. Hey, we got a bunch of new people watching on YouTube. Everyone, thanks for joining us. If you got anything to comment on, Pedro and I have been usually only on here for an hour today. We're at about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm sorry, we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes today. It's a longer show. Thanks for joining. As we always say, like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. You'll get some notifications periodically from YouTube. They don't always do it. But do hit that subscribe button and the like button. That helps us. We're a small channel, and we're new, and a lot of you people are new viewers. And new viewers help us out. And what helps us out is new viewers liking us and sharing like that, because then the great YouTube algorithm says, what that guy likes is what these guys are talking about. Even if you don't like what we're talking about, and you think we're controversial, still, you're listening.
Yeah. And well, here's the thing. We also want, one thing about me and Tom, there's many times where me and Tom are absolutely juxtaposed to each other. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and that's what makes, like, I'm all about real conversation with, maybe if I sound like there's been times where I'll sit there and be like, Tom, that you're being an idiot, dude. Look, or not idiot, but you're not seeing it from a full spectrum of this, and this. And there's times where he'll be like, dude, you're not seeing it from the full perspective. Step back, look at it like this. And I'm sitting there going like, you know what, you're right. Boom. Like, I was huge on bricks, right? I was like, dude, it's going to take over. But once you really started saying, dude, look at the full scope of the situation. How many people actually trust China? How many people actually? So I went through and started saying, well, let me check out the full understanding of where China's at. And I realized, dude, China's falling apart on an internal standpoint. Like, they are literally falling apart. Their birth rate is literally, it's nuts. And I say this because it's our conversation that we have where I listen to him, he listens to me, and we both call each other idiots. But at times, I got to sit there and be like, dude, you're actually right. My bad. And vice versa in the same sense. So
I've done it. I've admitted it. I'd be like, man, I didn't see it that way, Pedro. You're right.
Yeah, and so
Or
I
I've
think
I've been at home going, I'll go back and watch our shows. Mrs. Striking says, "You're being a narcissist watching your own show," stuff like that. I'm like, no, I learn. I go back and watch it and I learn. And a lot of times I'm noodling here, doing stuff behind the scenes, getting ready for the next segment or something while Pedro's talking, and I'll miss a few key things he's saying, so when I come back to it, I'm like, I kind of disagree with Pedro, or something like that, and then I'll go back and rewatch it, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I didn't get that.
and it's beautiful because that's actually what made our country great. Is that whether if you like him or not, whether you feel like Abraham Lincoln gave away the rights of the states, right, and or he brought the government together, which made America great, what we have today, right? Either way, he had people on his cabinet that were juxtaposed to each other and would literally get into screaming matches. Okay, screaming matches in Congress, right, in the House, on the floor, like. Well, not scream matches, but it wasn't physical. But the thing is, at the very end of the day, they came back together and they drank a beer and they said, we need to get this thing taken care of. I mean, during Reagan's era, same thing. Dudes would be screaming at each other, but then they would go back, drink a beer and say, you know what, let's figure this out because we need to build a stronger and better country. So, and I think in our day and age, that is what's lacking, is that you're an idiot. No, you're an idiot. All right, let's come together. Let's yell at each other and let's make even a better situation where I can sit there and go, you know what? That I agree with that. I may not agree with the whole entire premise, but you got some great points. And then it's in that discourse that we truly build a better society and system. As I'm preaching here now.
That's all right. We're allowed to do that on this show. That's why we go on and on. We don't have a 15-minute show like a lot of guys. Very compact. A lot of the crypto shows out there are 8 minutes, 10 minutes. They want to get you guys on the shitter and quickly just absorb as much information, get those views, and get out. Pedro and I, we go on forever because we got a lot to say. and it helps us because I know we'll get back to charts in here in a minute, but it helps us because we call us the DYOR Live for doing your own research, because we want to teach you how to think through things, not just at the technical level, which Pedro is doing, but think through it on a fundamental level, which I'll bring to you more. But also think big picture and get you out of your box of personal opinions, because when you let your personal opinions affect your trading, you will basically go broke. You'll get lucky now and then and say, see, I was right. I was right. My political beliefs this way, so I made lots of money. That'll happen 1 out of 10 times. Most of the time you lose.
Well, in crypto, you can have a 1 out of 10 and still be a millionaire. So just saying.
This is true. This is true, Pepe.
Bonk, Shiba.
Yeah, let's look at a couple of those meme tokens. Let's go back and look at Bonk. Let's take a look at Bone from Shib and see where those we got to them a little bit yesterday. And of course, if any of you watching, just drop a comment if you want Pedro to go over something. There's currently 10 people on the live on YouTube. That means a couple of you have got to have some opinions about something you want to see. We'll talk about it.
Good.
We've only got about 10 minutes left in the show today before I've got other stuff to do. And like we said, we can go on forever, but sometimes it's a little too long.
If we got 10 people, then why do we only have 9 likes? Or do we have?
That's a great question. We've had almost 30 views behind the scenes, and we don't have a like for every one of our views. Yeah, get that rate up, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this and you haven't liked it yet, please do so.
All right, here we go. So let's check out Bone here. So Bone, again, bounce off our demand zone that we have here. Again, look, you can see how there's, it's just not a lot of volume here. So I expect this thing to go down. We didn't go down first for the day. So obviously it's going up to go down. And we already are starting to really, really do a great job following this 8-period moving average. And so you can sit there and see it's most likely going to continue down, most likely to at least the 58-cent mark area, if not even further to the 44-cent mark area. So be ready. I mean, if you're really bullish on this, this is a good area to look to maybe dollar cost averaging again within the Shiba Inu macro system. Not my ecosystem. Not, I don't know why I said macro system, but ecosystem. And then let's check out what was the other one? Bonk.
Hey, just in case anyone sees a freezing system or something like that, I am getting a system error here. So the